Good morning, children. Today, we are going to start a new lesson, that is measurement of national income. That is the fourth lesson of our first unit, that is national income and related aggregates. It is a very important lesson. Let us see the slides first. So the lesson is measurement of national income. So first, as an introduction, I am saying that national income is considered as the most comprehensive measure of performance of an economy. In an economy, the calculation or the measurement of national income is a most comprehensive measure. Okay, so its measurement is an extremely complicated task, and the measurement of national income is having three different methods. What are they? Value added method, income method, and expenditure methods. Very important. So we can measure the national income by three different methods. What are the three different methods that we can calculate or measure national income? The first one is value added method, income method, and expenditure method. And all the three methods give the same value of national income. If we are calculating the national income with the help of value added method or income method or expenditure method, the result will be equal. Even if we are calculating the national income with any of the three measures, we are getting the final result as the same. Why? Because they are used to measure the same physical output at the three different phases. And in India, the national income is entrusted with the Central Statistical Organization. So in India, who is doing the job of calculating the national income? It is entrusted with the the Central Statistical Organization. So is it clear? So we are saying that measurement of national income is a really comprehensive measure, and we are mainly having three methods for calculation of national income. What are they? Value added method, income method, and expenditure method. And in India, who is doing that job? It is done by the Central Statistical Organization. I hope it is clear for you. Okay. Now, the first one, what is that? Value added method. So let us see about what is value added method. Value added method is the measurement of national income in different phases of production in the circular flow. So you have already learned what is circular flow and how many phases it has got. All those you have learned, isn't it? So I'm saying that when national income is done with the help of value added method, what it is doing the calculating and the different phases of production in the circular flow. And what is value added? Now I'm going to tell you what is value added. Value added refers to the addition to the value of raw materials or intermediate goods by a firm by the virtue of its productive activities. So I'm saying that what is value added method? Listen to me. With an example, I can make you understand that. I'm saying that for example, a baker is baking bread and he's selling that. For baking the bread, what is needed for the baker? He needs flour, isn't it? Flour is needed for making or baking bread. So the flour he will be getting from a miller. He will be getting the flour from a miller. So I'm saying that the miller is selling. Miller, the one who is making the wheat into flour, is called as the miller. The miller will be selling the flour to the baker. For example, he is selling it for 500 rupees. He is selling the flour to the baker for 500 rupees. By the virtue of his production, that means the baker is doing the rest of the things and making the flour into bread, and he is selling the bread for 700 rupees. So what is the value of output over here? 700 rupees. He bought the flour. The flour can be considered as the intermediate good. He brought the or purchased the flour for 500 rupees, and by doing the virtue of its activities, and he's selling it as a bread for 700 rupees. So what is the value added? The value added is 700 minus 500, that is 200. So the value added is 200 rupees. Did you understand? So what is value added? Value added refers to the addition to the value of raw materials by a firm by the virtue of its productive activities. So what is the value of raw material over here? It was 500 rupees. What was the raw material? It was flour. And by the virtue of his productive activities, that means he has done some work on that and he's selling it for 700 rupees. And the virtue of productive activities is what? 200 rupees. Okay, so what is value added by what is value added? So value added, I can say that value added equals value of output minus intermediate consumption. So what can I say as the value added? Value added equals the value of output. Value of output is what? Bread. For bread, it was 700 rupees minus intermediate consumption. What is intermediate consumption? That was 500 rupees. So value added is 200 rupees. So value added by each producing enterprise is also known as the gross value added at market prices. Like that, from each firm's the total value added we are calculating and we are calling it as what? Gross value added at market price. Value added by each producing enterprises is also known as what? Gross value added at market price, GVA at MP. And the sum of the GVA at MP of all producing enterprises within the domestic territory of a country during 1 year is equal to GDP at MP. That means one firm is producing and I am calculating it as the GVA MP, another firm GVA MP, and another firm GVA MP, and total of that when I am calculating, I can call it as what? I will call it as GDP at MP. That means total GVA at MP is equal to GDP at MP. Total sigma gross value added at market price is equal to gross domestic product, GDP at MP. From all the one firm is producing bread, I am calculating all those as GVA at MP, another firm GVA at MP, another firm GVA at MP, and total I'll be getting what? GDP at MP. Is it clear? So here we are saying that there are three methods of calculating national income. What are they? Value added method, income method, and expenditure method. And the first one, value added method. What is value added method? Value added method refers to the addition of the value of the raw materials by a firm by the virtue of its productive activity. Okay, is it clear what is value added? And all the value added together we will be calling as what? Gross domestic product at market price. Okay. Next, I am saying that what is intermediate consumption? Intermediate consumption, as you know that what is intermediate consumption, what the products that we are buying for the production purpose, we can call it as what? Intermediate consumption. And use of intermediate goods in the production process is termed as intermediate consumption. So learn it as a definition for intermediate consumption. What is intermediate consumption? The use of intermediate goods in the production process is termed as intermediate consumption. In the previous example which we have seen, what was the intermediate consumption over there or input over there? It was flour, isn't it? Now I am telling that how can we calculate the value of output? What is value of output? You can clearly understand that what is the value of output. When the baker brought the flour from the miller, after that he turned it into the bread and sold it for 700 rupees. So what is the value of output? The value of output is 700 rupees. So value of output refers to the market value of all goods and services produced during a period of 1 year. So all the products what we are selling is called as what? Value of output, and together we can call it as the value of output. And how can we calculate the value of output? There are two methods of calculating the value of output. What are they? When the first one, I am saying that when all the products whatever produced in an economy is sold, then value of output is equal to sales. For example, a shoe factory is producing 1,000 pairs of shoes. Okay, that 1,000 pairs of shoes has been sold. So what is the value of output over there? The value of output is equal to sales. That means 1,000 shoes has been produced and the 1,000 shoes has been sold. So the value of output is equal to sales. Okay, so that is the first way of calculating value of output. First way of calculating output is value of output equals sales. And if it happens like that, all 1,000 shoes has been, 1,000 pairs of shoes has been produced, but only 800 pairs of shoes has been sold. 200 pairs of shoes has not sold. In such a case, we can say that if it is not sold, then the unsold stock is added to the value of sales. So whatever is sold, 800 pairs of shoes has been sold and 200 pairs of shoes are still over there. So in the next year, this 200 pairs of shoes will be added. Then in that case, we can say that value of output equals sales plus change in stock. So what is change in stock? Change in stock refers to closing stock minus opening stock. Remember this very carefully. What is change in stock? Change in stock equals closing stock minus opening stocks. So here I am saying that there are two methods of calculating the value of output. The first one is value of output equals sales. In some cases, all the products will not be sold. In that case, what we will be doing? Value of output equals sales plus change in stock. And what is change in stock? Change in stock equals closing stock minus opening stock. So is it clear? The first way of calculating the value of output, the value of output equals sales. And in the second case is value of output equals quantity into price plus change in stock. That means, for example, one shoe, the value of one shoes is 500 rupees. Like that, he has produced 1,000 shoes. So quantity into price. That means 1,000 into 500 plus if any stock is there without sold, that will also be added. Then we are getting the value of output. So there are two ways of calculating value of output. First one, value of output equals sales. In this case also, one condition we are having, if all the products are not sold, what we have to do? Sales plus change in stock. And what is change in stock? Change in stock means closing stock minus opening stock. And the second method is what? Value of output equals quantity into price. How many products has been produced and into price plus change in stock. So now you know what is intermediate consumption and what is value of output. Once more, listen here. What is the first method of calculating national income? That is value added method. What is value added method? It is the addition to the value of raw materials by the firm by the virtue of his productive activity. I hope you understood that. Next one we are saying is about what is intermediate consumption. The intermediate consumption means what? Use of intermediate goods in the production process is called as intermediate consumption. Next we are saying about value of output. There are two ways of calculating the value of output. First one is value of output equals sales, and the second one is value of output equals quantity into price plus change in stock. Next I am saying that how can we calculate the intermediate consumption? Already I told you what is intermediate consumption. Use of intermediate goods in the production process is called as intermediate consumption. Look here, how can we calculate the intermediate consumption? So if imports are not separately included, with the first look at the example. I'm saying that in first case, intermediate consumption equals 1,200 rupees. But the import is equal to 300 rupees. Here, what will be the intermediate consumption? The intermediate consumption is 1,200. Because if the imports, this imports is also already included in the intermediate consumption. So we will not add this. We will say that intermediate consumption is equal to 1200. So if imports are not separately included, so I'm saying that when you have to be careful when calculating the intermediate consumption, imports are not separately included. But it will be included in another case. What is that? Exports are in such this you can learn from this example. In the case 2, I'm saying that purchase of raw materials from the domestic firm. It is saying only the domestic firm, but here look, they are not mentioning it as any domestic, but here they are mentioning it as the domestic firm, and imports are given separately. So in such a case, the intermediate consumption equals 500 plus 100, that is 600. Why we are adding the import separately over here? Because they are saying it as the domestic firm. Here they are not mentioning it separately as domestic firm, so we will not include this. So did you understand this one? Imports are not separately included. Same thing with the exports also. Exports are not separately included. Here I'm saying that the sales are 2000 rupees and export are 4000 rupees. So what is the value of output over here? The value of output is rupees 2000, because it is this 400 is also included over here. But in the second case, it is saying that domestic sale is 700. Here we are saying only about the domestic, and export is separately given. In such a case, the value of output equals 700 plus 200, that is 900 rupees. So when you are calculating intermediate consumption, just see that if they are specifically saying about the domestic, you have to add that. If they are not specifically saying any domestic, you have to take only the intermediate consumption. Next one, the important thing what we are going to do is steps of the value added method. Well, how can we calculate the value added method? First step is that identify and classify the production units. First, we have to identify and classify the production units. You know that how many production units we are having. How many production units we are having? Mainly 3 production units we are having. What are they? Primary, secondary, and tertiary sector are the main 3 production units that we are having. And as I have told you in the previous lesson also, there is not a particular formula for that. Whatever particulars are given to us, with the help of that particulars, we will be calculating the national income. So first we have to identify what all production units are given. If the primary, secondary, and tertiary are given, we will add that too. That is the first step. What is that? Identify and classify the production units. What are the production units? Primary, secondary, and tertiary. So the gross value added of primary, gross value added of secondary, and gross value added of the tertiary will be calculated together. When with this 3 we are calculating, what we will be getting? We will be getting gross domestic product at market price. Look here, I have told you that when total of sigma GVA at NP, that is total of gross value added, we will be getting what? Gross domestic product at market price. And here, look, so the three production units, when we are adding, what we are getting? We are getting gross domestic product at market price. So the total of gross value added, we are getting what? We are getting gross domestic product at market price. So what is the first step in the value added method? The first step is identify and classify the production units. When we are adding this 3, we will be getting gross domestic product at market price. And from gross domestic product at market price, we are subtracting the depreciation and net indirect tax. You know that from gross domestic product or GDP, we are subtracting the depreciation. This G will change to net, isn't it? And net indirect tax, we are subtracting from the market price. It will change to factor cost. So from GDP at MP, when depreciation is subtracted and net indirect tax is also subtracted, what we will be getting? We will be getting domestic income, or we can say that NDP at FC. Clear? And once more I'm saying, first step is to identify and classify the production units. Then we will be getting GDP at MP. Okay, total gross value added at MP is equal to GDP at MP. And from that, I am subtracting the depreciation and net indirect tax, and I am getting domestic income or NDP at FC. From domestic, with the domestic income, when I am adding net factor income from abroad, I will get the national income. So through value added method, you got the national income, isn't it? How many methods are there? 3 methods. In that, the first one is value added method. In the value added method, first step you have to do, find out the production units, and you will be getting gross domestic product, subtract depreciation and net indirect tax. You will be getting domestic income. With domestic income, you are adding the net factor income from abroad, and you are getting the national income. So that is over. Next, I am saying, what is double counting? Double counting refers to counting of an output more than once while passing through the various stages of production. Did you understand that? I'll tell you what is double counting. I'll explain it with an example. Second. Look, I'm going to tell you about what is double counting. Double counting, as I told you, double counting refers to counting of more than one time. So what does it mean? For example, as I have told you in the first, a baker wants to make the bread, and he needs what? He needs the flour. Okay. And he can buy the flour from whom? He can buy the flour from the miller. And the miller will be getting the flour from whom? He will be getting the flour from the farmer. A farmer is producing the wheat, and that wheat will be supplied to the miller, and the miller will be giving that to the baker. This is the 3 steps involved in the production process. The farmer to the miller, and the miller to the baker. And suppose the farmer is selling that to the miller a particular quantity of wheat for rupees 500. Okay, and this 500 rupees, for this 500 rupees, the miller is buying the wheat, and he's changing it into flour. Then he's selling the flour to the baker for rupees 700. And this baker is buying from the miller that flour at 700 rupees, and he is changing it into bread and selling it for 1000 rupees. Yes, did you understand? Once more, I'll tell you. 3 steps are involved in the production of bread. First, I am saying that the farmer is selling the wheat to the miller for 500 rupees, and the miller is changing it to the flour and selling to the baker for 700 rupees, and the baker is making it to the bread and selling it for 1000 rupees. So, if I am saying that we are counting all the, I want to write and show that. That's why I'm checking so that I can, 1 second, wait. I'll write and show you that. So listen here. First, I told you that the farmer is selling the wheat. for 500 rupees. 500 rupees to the miller. And the miller is selling the flour to the baker for 700 rupees. And the baker is making this flour into bread and selling for 1000 rupees. So I'm telling you about the problem of double counting. If for the wheat is a final product for the farmer and flour is a final product for the miller and bread is a final product for the baker. If I am adding this to what I will be getting, then I will be getting it as 1000. Then when I am adding this 1700 and 500, I will be getting 2200 rupees as the top value of output. But again, you have to check that the wheat has been sold for 500 rupees. When the miller is buying that wheat and changing it into flour and selling for 700 rupees, what is the value added by the miller? The value added by the miller is only 200 rupees. That means for 700 he is selling, but he has done some work over there, and that is only 200 rupees. That means what is the value added by the miller? The value added by the miller is only 200. And what is the value added by the baker? The baker is buying the flour from the miller for 700 rupees, and he is doing something that is from virtue of his production activity. He is selling it for 1000 rupees, and the value added by the baker is 300 rupees. So the wheat is 500 rupees and value added by the miller is 200 rupees, and the baker is selling it for 1000 and the value added by the baker is 300 rupees. So here we have to add only 500 plus 200 plus 300, and we are getting it as 1000 rupees. Look, this 1000 is the value of output, and we are getting it also as 1000. So that is the problem of double counting. If we are double counting, it happens that again and again we are counting and the final output will not be correct. Here we are getting the final output as 2200, but actually the final output costs us only 1000 rupees. Okay, that is the problem of double counting. Double counting refers to the counting of an output more than once while passing through the various stages of production. So how can we avoid the double counting? There are two ways of avoiding the double counting. First one, we will be adding only final output method. What do you mean by final output method? Final output method means value of only final good should be added. Okay. Second one, or we will have to add the value added method. In the example, you have seen that value added means from the farmer 500 rupees, from the miller it is value added is 200, and the baker the value added is 300, like that 1000. Or the final output method, how much the baker is selling, that is 1000 rupees. So how can we avoid the double counting? The double counting should be avoided by two methods. What are they? First one, final output method. What do you mean by final output method? Only the value of final goods will be calculated, and or we have to add the value, only we have to do the value added method. Is it clear? Next one, I am saying that precautions of value added method. When we are doing the value added method, now you know how to do the value added method. Is it clear? primary sector, secondary, tertiary, we are adding, we will be getting GDP at MP. From that, depreciation and net indirect tax will be deducted. Then we will be getting domestic income. Adding net factor income abroad, we will be getting national income. So some precautions should be taken while doing the value added method. The first one is what? Intermediate goods are not to be included. Intermediate goods are not to be included in the national income. That is, I told you, intermediate goods we will not include. Such goods already included in, and it will lead to double counting. So what we have to do, only the value of final good should be taken. So what is the first precaution for the value added method? We will not include the intermediate goods. Second one, sale and purchase of second-hand goods is not included. That means, for example, you have bought one car from a second-hand person, as a second-hand product, and the value in the first, if the car was brought in 2000 and you are getting it in 2020, that means that value of the car is already included in the year 2000. Now it is no need of adding it again. But one more thing you have to remember, if any broker or intermediate person is there and they are having some brokerage fees or anything like that, it should be added. So second point we have to remember, what is that? Sale and purchase of the second-hand goods will not be included. But what we will be including, we have to include any commission or brokerage fees is there, that has to be included. And the third precaution we have to do is production of goods for the self-consumption will be the third point is production of self-service for the consumption are not included. If, for example, I am saying that I'm a housewife, at the same time I'm teaching my daughter in my home, that is a service. That service will not be included in the calculation of national income. Another example, I am doing some work in my kitchen garden. That means I am growing some vegetables over there and I am doing some service over there. But that service also will not be included because it is not entered in the market. The service is not sure how much I have done, how much other person has done. It is not having a particular value. So the services of housewife and the kitchen gardening, etc., are not included in the production of the self-consumption. Production of services for the self-consumption, it will not be included. That is the third precaution for value-added method. And the fourth one is production of goods for the self-consumption will be included. For example, in same like that, in a vegetable, I am having a vegetable garden. From that, I am getting the vegetables. The value of that vegetables will be added. But what will not be added? The service, whatever work I am doing in the vegetable garden will not be included. But the goods what I am getting from the vegetable garden will be included. Okay, but same like here. But here also, as I told you, if any tuition means if I am working as a tuition teacher to another person, it will be included. But if I am doing it for my domestic purpose, it will not be included. Next one I am saying is the fifth precaution. What we have to do is the imputed value of owner occupied house will be included. It will be included. So first, you should know what is the imputed value, or we can say it as imputed rent. That means every houses are having its own value. Even if one house I am living in rent, I am giving it for rent, or I am living, it is having a particular value that is also having a market value. So the value of that house, rented house, will be added in national income. So imputed value of owner occupied house should be included. Next one, change in stock of goods will be included. Change in stock, already I have told you what is change in stock. That will also be included in the value added method. So what are the precautions of value added method? First one, the intermediate goods are not included. Second one, sales and purchase of second-hand goods are not included. Third one, production of services for the self-consumption are not included. And the next one, production of goods for self-consumption will be included. And fifth one, imputed value of owner-occupied house should be included. And the last one, change in stock will be included. All these are the precautions that we have to do for the value added method. Now let us do some of the sums related to value of output or value added method. Let us see that. Let us go to doing the sums.